From Studio 3C in Rockefeller Center, this is News 4 New York.
Now at 7, a measles warning in the metropolitan area. People in 3 cities may have been exposed. We'll tell you where. Also, breaking news. A small plane crash in Florida kills 3 people. Plus, busted with pot. The local assemblyman caught on the wrong side of the law. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Scott Stanford. We begin with a nightmare on wheels. A real-life roach coach. Greyhound bus passengers heading from Atlantic City to New York this morning soon found out there were other passengers on board. And, well, then those critters were on them. News 4's Paisy Chang is at Port Authority with details. And at this hour, investigators are on the ground in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, following a takeoff tragedy there. 3 men were killed after their private plane crashed into a warehouse shortly after taking off from an executive airport. You could see the plane slammed into several cars. There is good news. No one on the ground was injured. Investigators are on the scene trying to figure out what exactly caused this plane to go down.
Let's go on, Scott. The greater the impact.
Yeah, Steve, you know, it's funny they call it sequester, but nobody sequestered in a room. I mean, how long is this thing going to go on?
Sequester, Scott, could go on for months.
That's not good news. All right, Steve Handelsman in Washington. Thank you very much, Steve, for that report. Now, there's been a lot of talk about how the cuts will affect government jobs and programs, but what does it mean for us right here in the tri-state? Our team coverage continues with News 4 government affairs reporter Melissa Russo. Well, there she is, the Katy Perry of my day. She won Best New Artist at the Grammys in 1977 for her giant smash hit, You Light Up My Life, and here in 2013, Debbie Boone is performing at the Cafe Carlyle all this week through Saturday night. Welcome to the program, young lady.
Thank you.
I have to say, I was telling my daughter today, it's almost like her interviewing Katy Perry 30 years from now. It's like me interviewing you on this program.
Dad, whatever.
Just a drooping on down. Go, come on, Debbie.
The cement's just.
It's there for the wait. Yeah, 5 will get you 10.
Mackie's back in town.
Can I come and sing with you tonight?
Would you please?
Well, there's been a lot in the news lately about the elite Horace Mann School in the Bronx, with unsettling allegations that as many as 32 students were sexually abused by several different teachers. These accounts allegedly took place at the school from the 1970s through the 1990s. We're joined tonight by Mark Fisher. His article about one of the teachers and the allegations is featured in this week's issue of The New Yorker. Mark, pleasure to have you here tonight.
Great to be with you.
This whole thing sounds so crazy. 32 kids over 20-some-odd years.
Pat Battle, News 4, New York.
I don't think Pat remembers. She owes me $375, so she really only won a quarter. Now we're going to go to the weather. The heavy snow that many of us feared did not materialize, but it's not quite over for some in our area. Storm Team 4 meteorologist Janice Huff has details. Janice?
Hey, Scott.
I'm thinking Punxsutawney may have paid off the handler to take the fall on this whole thing.
Yeah, but what about Staten Island Chuck? What happened there?
Oh, Chuck, well, he's a criminal altogether. Welcome back. It is a huge week at the U.S. Supreme Court. 2 cases on same-sex marriage and whether banning it is unconstitutional. And here's what adds to that tension. Most states do ban gay marriage, but most Americans now support it. And that's new. NBC's Steve Handelsman has the latest. He's around the corner from the High Court on Capitol Hill. Steve? Well, stocks log gains for the week. The Dow's up 35, the NASDAQ up 10, the S&P is up 4. Back to our top story now, the sequestration cuts that will soon go into effect. People all across the U.S. very concerned about these cuts, but how will it affect the metropolitan area? Who will it affect the most? Here to talk more about it is Eric Enquist, Assistant Managing Editor of Crain's New York Business. Eric, thanks for joining us here today. First thing is, we don't even know who's responsible for this sequester. Is it the White House? Is it the Republicans? Nobody's letting us know who's responsible. On to the election of Pope Francis. There was a meet and greet with the Pope today. His one-time fellow cardinals all got a chance to personally congratulate him on his elevation. Now, while there is a lot of work to be done, one church expert says it's just a matter of Francis putting the right people in place. News 4's David Ushery and photojournalist John Albertson have more from Vatican City. Black Broadway is back in a big way this season. There are several notable African-American productions ready to hit the Great White Way with some big names in the cast. Here to tell us all about it, Patrick Riley, who's pop culture expert and blogger for A Day in the Life of Riley. Yes. Pop culture and possibilities.
That's right.
How does somebody become a pop culture expert. Good evening, everyone. I'm Scott Stanford. We begin with the first of two major arguments in front of the United States Supreme Court on gay marriage. Today's argument, California's Proposition 8 that bans same-sex marriage and was ruled unconstitutional. Welcome back, everybody. Spring is here. Supposedly it's here. People are getting ready as soon as the weather cooperates. It's Janice's problem. They're going to shed their coats and take in the sun. Good time to think about losing weight. And who better to speak with than our guest tonight, Olivia Ward. She was the winner of The Biggest Loser from season 11. 129 pounds gone.
That's right.
Never to be heard from again.
Never to be heard from.
You basically shed the equivalent of my wife and 3-year-old daughter gone.
I love that. That's amazing. I'm literally 50% smaller than I was before.
That is unbelievable.
It's awesome.
Welcome back, everybody. Now to a story rich with details. The winner of the huge Powerball jackpot. Tonight, he finally has his hands on that great big check, and he's telling the world what he's going to do with all that money. News 4 New Jersey reporter Pat Battle has our story from Lawrenceville. Well, it's Friday. You worked all week. Now you want to kick back, relax with a couple of brews. That's what I call them. So many to pick from, right? You can find some of the best beer around at the New York City Beer Week, which is going on right now until Sunday. Much like Sharks, beer actually gets its own week. Matt Rutkowski is a craft beer aficionado and vice president of Spiegelau Glass Works. Did I pronounce that right?
Correct.
Matt, the festival's going on, Beer Week. Where can we find it? What do we find when we get there? Well, that's going to do it for News 4 at 7. I'm Scott Stanford. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Good night. Have a great weekend. This is all me, right?